Hello, everyone. Welcome to class today. Welcome to the live. Just as a preparation for today's class, we're going to do a couple of new things. And if you want, while we're warming up, you can kind of grab a couple of objects that you can hold in your palm. So something small, something that's not fragile, something you don't mind dropping on the floor accidentally. So if you have kids' toys laying around, like a couple of, balls, or a couple balls might be a little bit more challenging, but that's fine. Anything that you don't mind dropping on the floor. So just grab two, that's all you need. I just grabbed some different examples. I think the blocks will be easier. So we're gonna do, we have a birthday girl today. So, and she requested that we focus on Bagua. So we will still do some Tai Chi postures today, but we'll have more of a Bagua focus, which I don't mind at all. So let's start with some stretching and warming up, and then we'll introduce at least one new thing today. So let's start with our wrist circles overhead. Just circle your wrists. Circle both in the direction of your choosing and sweep your arms down in an arc. Usually we'll just kind of go through that 3 times. You can do this in a chair. You can do this standing. You could really do this walking if you wanted to. Let's stretch. Protect your head with one hand and spiral the other to the side, palm up, switch, repeat on both sides a few times. Protect your head, spiral to the side, palm up. Go ahead and do a few of those. To the front, feel the space between your shoulder blades, a little bit of stretching, a little bit of opening through the chest and stretching through the back. Gently, we can move our neck, looking side to side. Just checking our natural range of motion right now this morning. If you feel like going deeper into stretches, you can, or if you don't want to push, that's just fine. Ear to shoulder, stretching our neck this way. And again, you can slow it down. If it feels nicer to go slow and feel that go through your shoulder, you can slow it down. Or you can go a little faster, side to side. Gently look down, look up, look down, look up. A few times, just exploring the range of motion that you have right now. We'll do some shoulder rolls, just kind of roll each shoulder back one at a time. Again, choose the speed that feels good for you today. Shrug one back, you can kind of shrug up, make a nice full circle. I like to kind of involve my whole upper body. And that kind of brings us to larger arm circles overhead. If you want, you can go one side, do a few repetitions. You can use the whole body to turn. Say 5 or 6 on each side. Just make sure you do both sides. We will gently draw some circles with our waist. We'll start by bend your knees and tuck your pelvis under a little bit. Make sure you have a nice stance, maybe a little bit of a wider stance, and we'll circle at the waist 5 times each direction, give or take. Just make sure you do both sides. And if you feel like a couple more repetitions in a particular direction, if you're a little more tight or a little more sore on one side, go ahead and just do that. And we can move into a bow stance. So from shoulder width, we'll turn one toe out, step forward into a bow stance. It can be, you can make a big wide bow stance. That feels really stable, but then it's hard to move. If you make a really narrow bow stance, it's easy to move, but you're not as stable. So you can kind of play with where you want to put your feet to be comfortable, where you feel rooted, you feel stable, but also able to move. So, and then we'll circle our hips, just kind of pushing back, feeling a nice little stretch through your hip flexor and the leg that's back. Switch sides, again, adjust your feet to where you feel stable, but still able to move. If I make my feet too wide, it's a little bit hard to circle my hips. All right. You can do hands on your hips or relax. And again, if you want to modify and do these in a chair, that's fine too. We don't mind. I know everyone has low energy days. Oh, let's see. We already did that one. So this time we will isolate the pelvis and we'll push forward to the side, back to the side and front, and drawing a circle, just kind of pushing our hips, pushing our pelvis, exploring that range of motion. Make sure you keep a little bend in your knees. You might feel this stretch kind of through your sides, maybe even through your low back a little bit if you really lean into it. All right, and then same thing, we will isolate the pelvis the other direction, forward, side, back, side. This time focused on moving the pelvis, moving the hips. Just make sure you circle a little bit each direction. If you're feeling up for it, we can make a wider stance, and let's make some big circles. I want to try to get some stretching through the sides. So if you feel dizzy at all, you can just sit this one out, but if you feel up to it, bend your knees, go into a bit of a wider stance, and let's make, you can go slow, make a big circle, nice and slow with your whole body. You can kind of put your fingertips together and lead. And you can shift into each knee on each side, just drawing a really big circle in front of you. Slow, controlled, stretching your whole body. And if that feels fine, slow and controlled, you can sort of relax and speed up a little bit if that feels good to you. And we'll switch. Slow, controlled, big circle, exploring how much can we stretch. Being aware of how we're shifting our weight, using that body control, using that muscle control. All right, and then we can bend the knees to come back up again. And let's do a horse stance, and how we can find our horse stance. I'll show from the front and from the side. If your feet are together, you want to turn your heels out. So 1, your heels, 2, your toes, 3, your heels, 4, your toes again. And make sure that your toes and your knees point the same direction. And go into a little bit of a squat. Remember to keep your low back straight and your hips tucked under, and you can support yourself here. Now you can come up or you can come down. If you want a low bow stance, that's going to work as you come up, and as you come down, it's going to work different parts of your leg. It's going to work different parts of your muscles, but we want to pick a spot where we feel we can hold comfortably for a few seconds, and I will show you from the side. So just try that. So if your feet are together, open your heels, toes, toes. Make sure your toes and your knees are in alignment, are in the same direction. And we're going to go into a squat. Keep all this back straight and like you're sitting in a chair if you can do it. If not, come up a little bit and just see what you can do, see what your body can do today. Okay, come up out of it. We'll go down and we'll hold. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. You can brace and come up. And that's something you can integrate into your home practice if you'd like, or you can leave it. I'd like to think of that I'm giving you guys a bunch of different tools in your toolkit to build your home practice. So let's just roll out our ankles a little bit, couple circles each direction. If you need to hold something or sit down, do this seated, you can roll your ankles. Just finding that mobility. If you feel a little more sticky, one direction or the other, or one foot or the other, that's fine. You can just give yourself a few more rolls the way that feels good, just kind of loosening things up. Everything's connected, right? So if we have tightness here or in the knee or here, generally, sometimes we can have symptoms that move. Maybe one time maybe, we have something going on one side, and, one day it's our ankle, one day it's our knee, one day it's our hip. And so when we go through and we do the whole body stretching and the whole body movement, we're making sure that we're not neglecting or ignoring different spaces in our bodies. Because sometimes if we go, oh, my knee hurts, and we focus here, maybe if we open up this hip or if we open up this ankle a little bit, our knee will start to feel better. So there's some thoughts on warm-ups. You can grab a little drink of water if you'd like. The horse stance can be a little bit challenging if we're not used to going into that deep squat. All right, so if you have them, grab your 2 little items. I'm going to adjust my screen up here. Grab your 2 little items. And what we're going to do is called teacup palms. Okay, so I'll just kind of demonstrate, but I'm going to have a fairly wide stance and my knees bent, just kind of like we do in warm-ups. And what we're looking for in teacup palms is we're also looking for, it's kind of a qigong. So you can do this slowly as kind of an energy moving thing. And we're going to go, here's one direction out, lean back, palm out, and back. So we have a few different directions that we're going. And don't worry if you don't feel comfortable with a lot of lateral movement right now. You can make your movements smaller, but just try, and don't worry if you drop your objects. This is just exploring, where is our mobility? Where is our flexibility in the body? And if we practice this with some repetitions, can we start to feel into those places that are maybe needing a little bit more stretching? Okay, so that's one direction. starting going forward, right? So first we start going kind of forward and across, back, behind. So you can make that a smaller, movement. You can cheat, you can hold your blocks with your thumbs, but what we'd like to aim for is leaning to the side, stretching. You can see how that becomes a big stretch, right? And we haven't really practiced in the warm-ups doing this, right? We could add that in. If I have any requests, in the chat to do that, I can add in, you know, bending our knees and doing a little bit of stretching back, or you can do that in your own home practice, or you can do that on the floor. The yoga pose where you're on the floor and you stretch up, you can try to get a little bit more of that back bend, or you can just do it here. Leaning back. There goes one of my blocks, right? So I'm not, this is one that I'm introducing to you all for the first time, and I'm sort of reintroducing this one in my practice. So I'm a little bit rusty. So you're in good company today. Okay, and this is called teacup palms. And if we get really good, here's the other direction, behind the back, over. So this one we start circle behind the back. Okay, if we were to get really good, we would imagine that we were holding, maybe imagine, not in real life, little cups of tea, right? And so while we may be cupping our blocks and we may be going, I don't want to drop it, I don't want to do this, imagine that your palms are soft, your hands are relaxed, right? We don't want to grip. So it's better if you drop your objects than to grip them tightly, right? So this one, we circle behind the back, overhead, and around to the front, behind the back. And as always, choose your range of motion, choose your pace. Don't worry if your range of motion is a little sticky. And so you can switch this up. You can practice this in whatever order you want to. You can start from the back, and you could even do the same side, right? So you could loop it. You could say, I want to do this as a continuous movement, right? Maybe I want to just focus on this right side a few times, get used to it, right? Maybe you can go a little deeper into each time if you start like that. Then you could do the left side, start from the back, kind of loop your motion, go through that a few times. And you'll probably feel yourself using your core to hold yourself up a little bit during these. Same thing from the front. Now you could go right side, around to the front, back out right side, left side. So I really will go ahead and do left side again. And it doesn't really matter what order you do these in, as long as you are feeling comfortable, just exploring into your range of motion a little bit. So that's teacup palms. And let's review the 8 inner palms. I'm just going to start with just a brief demonstration because we've gone over this a couple of times. I know it's newer, but I don't want to spend a ton of time showing you the same thing. I know you guys, the live class is awesome, and I do encourage you to rewatch the videos and go back and review. If you have the time, of course. So let's go through the 8 inner palms. I'm just going to demonstrate first. So I'll keep the camera at this angle because I don't want you guys to miss my hands. So All right. And then we will reverse, change directions, same thing, same sequence, just backwards. And you'll notice that I give myself time. I give myself a few steps to transition from each posture to the next. I'm not trying to rush. I'm gradually changing my arm positions as I walk. And we practice this in class with the counts, but if you're just doing this as a walking meditation, don't worry if you forget your counts. Just do this as a walking meditation and practice. Personally, with the big change in the weather here, with a big change in humidity that we have, I am feeling a little bit on the humid, lightheaded side. So you might see me slowing down a couple of times and making sure I take my iron supplements and drinking a lot of water, having salts, doing all this self-care throughout the day to make sure if I'm having dizziness, if I'm having symptoms, if my practice is aggravating them, making sure that I'm slowing down and doing the self-care around that I need to. I still want to practice, but I don't want to make myself feel worse. And that's true for anything that we're practicing, for any of the pieces, any of the forms. If you have symptoms and doing the practice makes you feel worse, ask yourself why and where and how you can modify to make it work for you. Because there's a time to push through and get a deeper stretch, and there's a time to respect your body's boundaries and to rest. So I know that that's like my soapbox that I'm on in class, but I just think it's really important, especially in a culture that's very go, go, go and do, and very achievement oriented, that we remember there's wisdom in our bodies and it's good to listen and to rest. And our bodies were never designed to go 24/7 without rest. So that's my little soapbox thing for today. All right. So that was just sort of a really brief review, but let's go through that. Let's go ahead and go through that. And I want to, after we practice again, just open up for any questions, any specific questions on the postures, where hands should be or how does it feel. And when we're walking, doing Bagua, doing the 8 inner palms, there's a few ways to do it. You can walk casually and loosely, and you can kind of walk like this, but that's not really doing Bagua. Really doing Bagua is being ready, is, as I've said before, Tai Chi is for when you and your opponent are equally matched in strength and size. And you can do this back and forth. We do the push, we do the ward off. We can go through, Some of you who have, you know, are familiar with Tai Chi and with Sanshao, there's a lot of different ways to practice and do partner work. We're not doing that now in class, but Tai Chi, you can do a lot of this back and forth. And for Bagua, we want to be thinking, we're redirecting the energy, we're ready to go. So when we walk the circle in Bagua, walk the circle with not anxious tension, but with ready tension, right? Not all tension is bad, but walk the circle intentionally, right? Walk the circle, take your steps with purpose, right? We're not just heavy on our feet walking around. So when you practice, try to be light and agile. Maybe think about yourself as, you know, a mountain lion or a snow leopard, maybe your favorite big cat or another animal that moves like with grace and with power, right? So just something to think about when you're walking the circle is to step intentionally. Even if you're not counting your steps, still step with intention. So let's try it. Just keep that in mind. And let's go through that again, and we'll do, let's do 16 counts. All right. And just remember, you can mark your circle if you'd like. Maybe I'll do that now. Just having a focal point, I think, helps keep your circle consistent, the same difference, you know, same distance from the middle. If your circle wobbles a little bit and is sometimes bigger here or smaller there, don't worry about it too much. But I'll just put my little center marker down here. If you can see that, and maybe I'll adjust my camera down for you a little bit now. So let's go ahead and start with our scooping. We'll start stepping from the inside leg as always. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. 1, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. We'll stop and change direction. Okay. Get ready. Step with your inside leg first. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We can scoop 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Rest a little bit. Take your time if you feel dizzy at all. Okay. Let's do something stationary. Let's grab our little blocks or our balls again and do the teacup palms. Okay. So relaxed stance, right? Feeling rooted, feeling grounded. Let's just check. Our mobility. We'll start going forward, one on each side. Right side going out from the heart to the side, around the back, back around to the hip. Out from the heart to the side, behind the head, back around the front to the hip. Out from the heart to the side, behind the back, around the front, back to the hip. Push from the heart, side, back, around to the front hip. Then we'll switch, we'll start behind our back first, right? So our first direction is out in front to the heart. The next one is behind the back, around, back at the hip. So scooping behind the back, right? I want to show that. Maybe I'll start from the side here so you can see this time. Around the back. I'll do that from the side just so you can see the view a couple of times from the back. Behind your back. So another thing you can visualize, right? So we had the teacup, this is called teacup palms. And I said, sort of imagine, you know, keep your palms light and loose. And imagine that we're so good that we can do this without spilling the tea. We have full little cups of tea, right? I wouldn't start there. I would start with something easy and not worry about dropping. And just have some fun with it, have some fun exploring and stretching. So another thing you can visualize when you're doing this is that you have not two balls in your hands or a teacup, but that you're catching a staff, that you actually have a staff in your hands, right? Maybe somebody threw something at you, you caught it, maybe you're actually spinning. So if we were going to do this, this is actually, if we had a staff, we could do this same thing, right? But with two hands, but we're just isolating and we're just doing one for the moment. So go nice and slow, but this actually works on mobility for if you were working on your staff form. So just another little piece of information there for you. So then you can imagine when you're leaning back that you're spinning a staff over your head, right? You don't want to hit yourself in the head with it because it's a staff, right? So that gives you a little bit more slow down. Imagine you could be spinning a staff overhead, right? So that's teacup poems. I just wanted to get a little bit more practice in there. I know circle walking, especially when it starts to get warm, can be tough. We want to build up tolerance to doing something new slowly. We don't want to just dive in, but go a little bit more, a few more repetitions, and we can build up our circle walking tolerance. And maybe you don't have the same symptoms I do. Maybe it's no problem, easy peasy, walk the circle and you don't get dizzy. But I just want to make sure that I'm addressing the things that can and do come up for people fairly often. So let's do Bagua again. Let's do our 8 inner palms. I'm not going to count this time. So let's just do it together at the same time. You can count in your head. Don't worry if you mess up the counts. You can check the screen for a visual cue and see where I'm at. But the important thing is that we're just practicing and getting this repetition in, right? So that's why I've been doing these things a few times today. Doesn't really matter which direction you start. We've been going that way first. So I'm going to go this way first, right? So I'm going to go counterclockwise to start this time, and feel free to switch things up in your practice, but always step with your inside foot, your foot that's on the inside of your circle, okay? So we can start with our scooping. I'm just doing 8 counts of each. Give yourself time to transition to the next posture. And you can slow when you're counting down to that 8th step. You can slow down and get ready to change directions. Foot in your weight in your front foot when we're getting ready to step, right? So Tai Chi is a little bit 60-40 or 70-30. We always have like some energy, like 30% of our weight in the back foot. But for Bagua, when we're stepping, we're actively stepping and walking. Before I step, I want to have almost 100%, really 100% of my weight in that front foot. So this one's free to step. One, two, three, four, 5, 6, 7, 8. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. All right. And I know I've had some questions on the names and I haven't gone over them again in this video. So just as a review, our first posture, you can call this one whatever you like, scooping, this heaven and earth, right? We're going down and we're going up. We're scooping heaven. And another funny way I've heard this described is you've got a really long beard and we're just gathering it and tucking it back in. So keep things nice and lighthearted, but that's this posture. That's our opening and our conclusion, or you're right. So we do that in the beginning and in the end, just to sort of wrap things up and bookend. So the green dragon hangs its claws is the first of 8. Okay. Yellow eagle spreads its wings is the second. Okay. So here we have one hand protecting the head. Just changing the camera angle for you. I know this might be tough to see me when I'm walking the circle. So green dragon hangs its claws. Oh, I'm sorry. Green dragon, then we just go up from there, right? And then we go into golden lion. So green dragon, yellow eagle, and then we bring our hand in for the golden lion holds the ball. Sorry about that, a little confused. So scoop, right? This is just our opening and our closing. We're not including that in our 8. 1, 2, 3, 4 is the red phoenix circles the mountaintop. Striking heaven and piercing earth. Okay. White ape offers the fruit. The boy pushes the millstone. The heavenly horse walks in the void, right? So we do that sequence and then we reverse the circle and do the same thing backwards, right? So this is our beginning. Green dragon hangs its claws. Yellow eagle spreads its wings. Golden lion holds the ball. Red phoenix circles the mountaintop. Striking heaven, piercing earth. White ape offers the fruit. The boy pushes the millstone. The heavenly horse walks in the void. Okay, I just wanted to say those names and let you kind of have this little clip in the video that you can refer to later if you'd like to have those names and review each of the postures, but you're not trying to chase my eyes in a circle and do it at the same time. This can feel, there's a lot going on, right? There's a lot of pieces to this, but it becomes, the more you practice this, the more you get comfortable with this, it becomes a really nice, really relaxing walking meditation. So let's see where we're at for time, a little bit more time. Okay, I wanted to get to doing some repulse monkeys today. So I'll make sure that I move things out of my way. All right. So repulse monkey. I'm going to go from this side and I'm going to slow down. I know this is review for some. We do have some new students joining us as well. So I just want to make sure that I'm kind of slowing things down and breaking down the steps for our newer students. And if you don't have a big space, it's nice when we can go outside or practice at a big space. You can do a change step with a lot of the postures, right? We can do this in place. It's nice to be able to walk across the room, but if we can't, we just bring this side back and we just kind of go in place. Or we can take smaller steps. If you have the space to do it, that's great. If not, you can definitely practice Tai Chi in a small space too. So for the change step, you basically, instead of taking a step back, you basically just bring your foot back to your other heel. And then you come forward with your other side. All right? But if you can, it's nice to be able to move, take a step back. All right, so feet, we want to try to keep feet parallel in about a shoulder width stance for our feet. I'll go from the front again, and I'm going to tip this down. I don't want to confuse our newer students. So Repulse Monkey, start here. Okay, you can bring one foot forward a little bit. Gonna step back. Circle one arm back. Push from the heart, step back. Circle, change your palms. Circle one arm back. As you step back, that palm comes forward and pushes from the heart. Circle one arm back, change your palms, step back and push. So Repulse Monkey, if somebody was coming at you down a hallway, right? If somebody was advancing and you had a really small space, some of these postures were walking, we're going side to side. Repulse Monkey is if somebody wanted to fight you coming down a hallway and you're going, nope, 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 you're blocking. That's Repulse Monkey, okay? So we do it slow, but it is active in practice. Somebody's coming at you and you're going, no thanks, no thanks, no thanks, stay where you are, right? Slowly, this palm turns up and this palm faces down, okay? Just want to make sure that I'm getting this kind of broken down for our newer students. Step back, push. Now go from the side again. And practice tips for this one are to keep your hips tucked under, to keep your lower back straight. We don't want to arch our back. We want to stay strong. So in practice, it's slow, but if you want to think about the applications, you're blocking, 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 blocking. That's Repulse Monkey. And we started a little late, so I'll keep going here a little bit so we get our 50 minutes or so of class. Let's do some golden roosters. All right. Make sure you see my feet here as well. So for golden rooster stands on one leg, we're going to turn one toe out, shift our weight. We're going to go into a cat stance, okay? From the side, cat stance. I'll just review our stances as well. Bow stance, cat stance. Bow stance, right? From the side, this is our bow stance. This is our cat stance. All right. So for golden rooster stands on one leg. There's a little energy in our elbows. Even when we have an active hand, this hand is still doing something, right? So we don't ever want to just like flop the other arm and leave it loose. It's going to be ready to do the next thing that it's doing. So I'm going to shift, I'm going to align shoulder, hip, ankle, right? So I think of a straight line here. Then I can lift this side without throwing my balance off. Step back, turn the toe out, get your weight shifted into this leg, and then lift the other side. So let's talk about that passive hand, right? So I always think of there's being sort of active and passive parts, right? So I would think of this forward leg and forward arm as being active, but there's still something going on here. The passive thing that's happening is this leg is weighted. I'm keeping my balance here. I'm relaxed. And this hand has a little bit of energy in it too, right? So even though we lift here, this is active, we change, then it becomes passive. Active becomes passive, active becomes passive, but the passive is still doing something. The passive is still locking down, right? So this is actually, there's a purpose to what this hand is doing. This is actually a block down. So golden rooster, step back, do a few more of those. And of course, if this is as far as you lift your leg, that's fine. If you want to come past level, that's fine. If you want to have, I think, correct form, really, I know I've overdone this sometimes because it feels good to do this stepping and this stretching. Sometimes I have the tendency to pop my knee up a little bit more because it feels fun, it feels good. But if you can just get to where your thigh is about level or just a little bit over, that's great. A few more, I'll go from the side again. Okay, and keep going. All right, awesome. I feel like that was a very active workout today, and we did some new things. So let's end with our standing meditation. And you can do this seated as well. If you're feeling like a little low energy, you can still do this meditation and these hand postures in a chair. Okay, I'm just gonna kind of rock forward and rock back. You can't see my feet, but my feet are about shoulder width. Find a comfortable stance. And as we go through, feel free to shift your weight and just try and find that equilibrium where you feel balanced, you feel your weight is evenly distributed from foot to foot, maybe even from the front of your foot, the middle of your foot, right in the middle. And that's going to take some little micro adjustments, and that's fine. So we'll go through standing meditation. And I'll just cue you when we switch hand positions, and then I'll be quiet and just sort of allow us some space to enjoy moving some energy in our body. Go ahead and begin. Second hand position, palms up about navel height. Relaxed breaths. Third hand position. It's about heart height. The camera being low changes how this looks, but my hands are about heart height. From the side so you can see my elbows are bent. Yeah. About forehead height, shoulders relaxed, fingertips relaxed. Shoulders, elbows, wrists, and hands all are relaxed. There's a little bit of energy between your shoulder blades. Use your core to hold yourself up, not your back. Slowly lower your arms. Hands are about waist height. Palms face the floor. Last hand position. Arms are relaxed, a little energy in the elbows, palms face forward. I know that we're on computers, we're looking at screens sometimes, but when you do this, try to have your gaze relaxed and out ahead of you. So not really straight and eye level, but just down, gaze just down gently at the floor and relax your eyes. Palms face forward for our last position, a few more counts. Relaxed jaw. Breathe, relaxed, shake out a little bit. Great job in class today. And I just want to give the opportunity for any questions if you want to pop them into the chat, or thumbs up if we're feeling good today. Thumbs up, awesome. All right. Happy birthday to our birthday girl, Sarah, today. Thanks for joining in class, and we will see everyone next week. Bye.